Welcome to the Proseed Halftime Report. If you need seed, think Proseed. Join us today, District Sales Manager, also Chairman of the Big Iron event that took place this year, Dave Kurtz. Dave, always great to see you, sir.
Yes.
Let's talk about what you guys got going with
Great
beans.
to be here. Great time of the year. We're seeing yields coming in extremely good. It's pretty nice to have the options that we have today versus what we had a number of years ago when we did before the traits that came into play into the soybean end of it. We've seen our yields increase tremendously from back in those days when we were in those 15 to 20 bushels to where we are today with, you know, we've got the extend trait. Hopefully we get the laboring for the enlist trait. We've got the balance liberty trait that looks like we'll be able to market this year. And of course, we've got the straight liberty traits. So, and there's some real weed issues out there. Looking at the things that we have, the resistance we have in the northern part of North Dakota is where I travel most of the time. Is kochia is our #1 problem, and we have the products that can control and take care of that now. Along with, you know, we have the same kind of traits in some of our corn traits. We look at some of the canolas. The yields in canola have been tremendous this year. I've heard numbers as high as 2,800 to 3,500 pounds. So really exciting. And yeah, with our depressed prices, we need these extra bushels and extra yield to compensate and to help our farmers through this tough times.
So not only do you guys help farmers get great yield, we've also have this great Right Choice program this year. What are you guys doing this year?
Well, this year we're giving away some guns. Talk to your local dealer about the options that you have and the ways that we can utilize it.
Always great to have you here, sir. Again, go to their website, proseed.net. Check out obviously the great yields they can provide for farmers, but as well as the great Right Choice program they've got this year. Again, proseed.net. Stay with us. Much more coming up right here on the Proseed Halftime Report.
Welcome into our Fargo studios, the Proseed Halftime Report. NDSU leading SDSU 14-7 at halftime. Let's take a look at how we got to where we are.
Yeah, well, SDSU winning the toss in this one, chose to receive. Bison forced 3 and out, though.
It's very interesting that you would choose to receive after winning the toss, but SDSU, they had a plan maybe.
You have to assume there was a script. It just didn't go that way. NDSU goes 3 and out as well, though. Jacks get things moving this time around. Christian, 32 yards pass up the middle.
The Jacks offense really starting to make the NDSU defense on their heels a little bit here early on.
Yeah, and he makes it move on his own as well, getting the Jacks into the red zone.
Taryn Christian, this is what the Bison wanted to avoid, was him getting outside of contain and using his feet to hurt you.
And then next, Christian to Johnson, a 3-yard touchdown.
That is Cade Johnson's 7th touchdown reception this season in just really 2 games and a quarter.
First time the Bison have trailed all year. 3 and out for the Bison again, and the Jacks are back threatening. Christian looking for 6 more, but
Jalen Allison. That's the first pick that Christian has thrown this year, and before that play started, I thought, you know, it'd be great if NDSU could just hold them to a field goal here. This, a much better option, Much better.
31-yard return there. Now that Bison offense stick with a big 34-yard completion to Darius Shepard. They get a touchdown called back, though, for pass interference. They're back at it, 3rd and 21 here. Stick making it on his own.
As good as Taryn Christian is when he gets loose and out of containment, Easton Stick probably a little bit better than Christian at making something out of nothing. That's a huge 3rd down game, especially because of this.
That's right. Stick to Ben Ellefson here. Holly's own, a 6-yard touchdown.
This is...
That's for 6 points.
For 6 points. Longer than 6 yards.
Longer than 6 yards.
We'll move on.
Yeah, tied game. Bison miss a field goal, but the defense isn't giving much up to SDSU either. Greg Menard with great pressure.
And Greg Menard gets sacked, career sack number 31, and then forces Christian into a bad throw there. And the Jacks offense, since that interception, they just had not looked the same as what they were. The Bison offense, on the other hand,
has looked incredibly good. Stick to Shepard here for a 41-yard touchdown.
Shep, he got his touchdown called back earlier on a pass interference call that we still weren't sure about, and then he finally gets his touchdown here.
It gives a 14-7 NDSU lead.
And that's what the Bison wanted. Let's take a look at our halftime stats brought to you by your North Dakota certified seed producers. This one, at one point, the teams had run 22 plays apiece, and they were at even yards and even score at 7-7. The Bison had since taken over that turnover. The real big key there and how much it had changed for the momentum of this game. NDSU with 3 penalties for 30 yards. Balance for NDSU, rushing and passing. SDSU, as a little bit expected. Taryn Christian putting the ball in his hands in this one. Those are your first half stats brought to you by the North Dakota Certified Seed Producers. We're going to step aside. When we come back, we'll take a look at action all around the Valley, including one team that's already got a win in Valley play. That's next here on the Proseed Halftime Report. Welcome back inside the Proseed Halftime Report. North Dakota State leads South Dakota State 14-7. Let's take a look at other action around the Missouri Valley Football Conference today. A couple games in action along with ours. Missouri State was leading 10-0 until the Redbirds, who are coming off an FBS win at Colorado State, have put in a touchdown. It is now 10-7 in the third quarter of that game. Western Illinois leading Youngstown State 9-7. In Macomb. South Dakota and Southern Illinois still to come tonight. They will kick off at 6 p.m. and Northern Iowa is already off to a 1-0 start in Valley play. They played a game on Thursday in Terre Haute against the Sycamores, against Indiana State. That is a final 33-0 Northern Iowa with shutouts in back-to-back games.
Yeah, I don't think that score is indicative of how that game went, though. I thought Indiana State played a much better game than I was expecting of them, at least so early in the season. I just love seeing these early games. I'm still trying to get a pulse of what the Valley looks like so far this season.
You don't really know because nobody's really played the level of competition that they're going to play for the next 8 weeks.
Yeah, there's just nothing quite like Missouri Valley football. So it's kind of fun to see where everybody is kind of shaking out. And in and of itself, NDSU versus SDSU. There's all of the hype with it being 1 versus 3, but you and I fight constantly about this. What does that really mean so early in the season?
Right.
Because you're really being graded on last year and the expectation. So it's interesting to see how that's shaking out. Right now, these look like number 1 and number 3.
It certainly does. 14-7 our score at halftime. When we come back, we'll get you back out to the Dome for second half action. Thanks for joining us on the Proseed Halftime Report.